All right, welcome back to TechniqueWOD. Today we're going to talk about 3 key things that both Mike, who's right over there, and I use with our new weightlifters to get them to learn the lifts as quickly as possible, as well as get them as strong as possible, as fast as possible. So the first thing is an overhead squat test. It's basically going to help them help to know if they have adequate mobility to do the lifts correctly. Second thing is getting them to learn a perfect power position right from the start. And then the third thing is helping them to understand that to get strong, you have to focus on squatting, not on the lifts themselves.
Wow. One take, bitches!
All right, so the first thing, as I said, is the overhead squat test. If you can do the overhead squat test perfectly, then you probably don't have any major mobility restrictions keeping you from being able to do good technique. If you don't have adequate mobility, it's almost impossible to have good technique. So you got to take care of your mobility first. So if we flip around, look at Mike. What I like to do is start with a PVC pipe, and then the way we're going to modify this from a regular overhead squat is Mike is going to turn his hands out kind of like this and make a little shelf. This makes it where he's all the way externally rotated at his shoulder when overhead, which is going to put his shoulder in a more stable overhead position. And then he's going to try to do a perfect overhead squat all the way to the bottom from there, which is pretty fucking hard. All right, that's pretty good. Okay. Little things, especially if Mike flips around to the side.
No, not doing it. Show us your things.
Go ahead and go again. There you go. Pretty good. So you can see Mike's tilting forward just a little tiny bit. At the bottom, his back rounds just a little bit, and you can see his arms aren't quite vertical. They're a little bit forward. So overall, that's pretty good. Mike's squatting right now with a very narrow stance. He could probably alter his foot position a little bit. If you widen his feet, maybe even toe it out a little bit, he probably could push his hips forward just a little bit and get a little bit more vertical. You can see he's in a better position there, where at the very bottom, his torso was a little bit more vertical, his arms were a little bit more vertical, and his back was less round. It was a little more neutral than when it was slightly flexed in the first example. So you can play with foot position as well. By and large, Mike's pretty mobile, and his lifts look very, very good. Could he improve his mobility a little bit? Absolutely, but by and large, he looks pretty good. So that's the first thing you're looking for with a new lifter. Can they do that overhead squat test at least kind of good? That way you can at least start using some variation of the lifts. If they look absolutely terrible, go ahead and do it totally wrong. Some people, they're not going to be able to do it even close to right. They're going to look more like that, where they can only squat to maybe parallel, maybe not even above parallel. Some people are going to have a vertical shin. Their butt's going to be way back and bent way over. Yeah, they're going to look like they're like ready to like take off from flight because they're so bent over. Some people are going to lean back when they do it. Like if their shoulders are so bad, they're going to lean back like this.
Oh, the compensation.
That's right. And then they fall over backwards. That's exactly right. So there's a lot of funky things that can happen there. If that's the case, then there's other things that you can do, other tests to see where those mobility restrictions actually lie. We're not going to talk about that today. You can go to the overhead squat TechniqueWOD, and I walk you through how exactly to do that specifically, so no need to redo it here. So Google that, or go to barbellshrugged.com and type it overhead squat into the search bar, and that TechniqueWOD will pop up. Okay, on to part 2. All right, second thing, they have to get into a good power position. And what that means is that you're going to put the bar into a position right along the crease of your hip, where the center of mass of the bar is as close as possible to the center of mass of you, which means that the lever arm, physically, mechanically, is very, very short, which makes the weight feel as light as possible. So if we look at Mike doing a snatch, hands are nice and wide. If he
That's the one where it goes overhead?
Mike's brand new to this. We'll let that slide. So if he's doing a snatch, hands are out wide. With elbows straight, you can see the bar is right on the crease of his hip. So when he gets into the power position, the bar is going to basically be in the exact same spot it would be if he was just standing there normal. Because the power position, really, all it is he keeps his torso vertical, knees come forward, heels are on the ground, his weight's on his heels, and you can see the bar is hitting right in the crease of his hip. If the bar hits lower than that, it hits down like mid-thigh like that, or maybe even the top of his knee like that, then he's not going to have very good levers. So just so you can see that if you're not familiar with the lifts, we're going to demo each one of those. So go ahead and flip to the side and demo a good proper Good technique snatch from the floor, or from mid-shin rather, like you had plates on the bar. So you can see there, perfect. The only place, in fact, pause in the power position when you do it. So you can see the only place the bar touches him is on his hips, and even more importantly, when he goes to extend into his second pull, the place where the bar disconnects is also right off the crease of his hip. If the bar brushes and then disconnects from the crease of your hip, that's still okay. What we don't want to ever happen is have the bar disconnect from mid-thigh or even from right above the knee. It's never gonna bounce off of your thigh. It's always going to, bounce is a funny term, it's not technically correct, but it's not going to disconnect from anywhere except the crease of your hip on the snatch. Cleans, similar, but your hands are closer together, which means the bar, of course, is a little bit lower. If you keep your arms nice and straight and you have long arms, you're probably gonna hit upper thigh. A lot of people say hitting pockets because that's where your pockets are. You can see Mike's pockets are right here and the bar is touching his pockets. So a lot of people say pockets, or go ahead and get the power position. Again, knees forward a little bit. Right where his arms, elbows are straight and the bar hits, that's where the bar should hit, or at least that's the lowest it should hit. Either should hit there or maybe even slightly higher if he decides to do a little bit of a row and row it a little higher on his thighs. Both those techniques work great. It's a style thing. Neither one is necessarily right or wrong. They both work. They both produce world champions. But again, what we don't want is the bar to hit any lower. Go and get the power position. Any lower than that is not good. So if he hits mid-thigh again, or even above the knees, that is not going to be a good thing. It's not a good thing for a couple reasons. Number one, your leverage isn't as good, so the weight's going to feel heavier. And then not only that, if he gets into the power position, okay, you can see since Mike's thigh is angled forward, the lower he gets on his thigh, the more out in front of you the weight's going to be. If it starts out in front of you because it's hitting above the knee versus here, that's a good few inches, and a few inches forward and often will cause you to be forward, be on your toes, and then with heavy weight, the bar's not going to roll up onto your shoulders. You're going to miss the lift out in front of you. Okay, so it's going to feel heavier, and you're going to have to fight for it more. Okay, so on to point number 3. Good. Last point is that squatting is what you're going to want to do for your primary strength work for weightlifting. Doing snatches and cleans, especially when you are not that great at them, you're just learning how to do them and you're just working on the technique with light weights, empty barbells, PVCs, or even up to 50 or 70%. That's probably all the heavier you're really going to need to go if you're a new weightlifter, because most of your reps are going to be practice reps where you're trying to get the skill of weightlifting down, and then you use squatting, heavy high bar back squats, heavy front squats. You can do some other varieties, but those are the two primary types of squats that you're going to be doing to get stronger for the sport of weightlifting specifically. So don't try to get strong by doing endless reps of heavy snatches and cleans. That's going to kill how fast rather you learn the lifts. You want to get strong by doing front squats and high bar back squats. Okay. If you like this TechniqueWOD, we have hundreds of other videos just like this one. You can go to barbellshrugged.com, click on the TechniqueWOD tab at the top of the page. All the videos are there in the library. We'll see you another day.
Join the conversation every week after the episode over at barbellshrugged.com. This is also where you'll find new episodes of Barbell Shrugged, TechniqueWOD, Nuggets and Pearls, Barbell Business, Get Change, plus new articles every day on our daily blog, written by us, guests of the show, and some of the biggest names in strength and conditioning. So, go there and leave a comment now. Oh my gosh, wow, that's so cool. Yay, that's so awesome.
Did you like this video? If so, subscribe to our channel and share this with your friends.
And if you want even more free, awesome resources to help you reach your fitness goals, plus some updates that we only share over email, head over to barbellshrugged.com and sign up for the newsletter.